So I'm going to make a lavender lotion that's olive oil based. So the first thing you want to do when you make a lotion is to give the equipment that you're going to use a nice wipe down with some alcohol. So in some of the boxes I have some alcohol pads, but if you have just regular rubbing alcohol at home, or you can even use something like vodka if you don't have. And that's just to kill any bacteria that's in your equipment. You know, just be very careful with the grip blades. I mean, these just came out of the dishwasher, so I think they're pretty okay. But it is a step. It is the first step. So, use your measuring spoon and a nice little wipe. And I said these all just actually came out of the dishwasher, so I'm not too concerned. Okay, so we're ready. So first we're going to measure everything. We are going to measure a half cup of olive oil. So as I mentioned in the instructions, it's easiest to do this with a bottle, a container that has a handle and that you can put in the microwave. So because we're actually going to drizzle the olive oil into the water mixture when we're making the lotion, and it's easy to do so if it has a handle. And we're going to put this in the microwave, and it's easy to do that if it's in a microwave container. So we have half a cup of olive oil, and we're going to put 2 tablespoons of beeswax in there, and this is going to be your oil mixture. So we have 1, 2, and these are little beeswax beads, and they're a nice form of beeswax because they're really easy to measure and they flow pretty easily, and they're small, and this helps the beeswax dissolve in the oil faster. So I'm actually going to put this for, I think the instructions say a minute 15 at medium. So a minute 15. I'm going to change my power level to 5, and that'll be medium heat. So we don't want to overheat the oil for it to degrade. We don't want it to definitely smoke or start burning. So that's why we want to do it at medium. So the other way I mentioned to do this in the instructions was to also use a double boiler, which is you could do a small pot with water, and then insert the measuring cup that I have here in the water and mix until the beads melt into the oil. So what we want is the beads melt in the oil so we have a clear solution to work with. We'll give that a little mix, and that'll ensure that the olive oil and the beeswax are homogeneous in the oil layer. So we have about 20 more seconds here. You know, and as that's happening, why not, you can measure out your water, which is a 1/4 cup of distilled water. I have another, I did a little too much there, so it's just distilled water for me, so I'll pour it out. A 1/4 cup of distilled water, and a 1/4 cup of lavender water. I'm going to show it slowly so I'll mess it up. Of course, you want a big level. I like to see that. So, this is about a minute 15 at medium. And yeah, the pellets have not completely dissolved. So we'll put it back. I'll put it back for another 15 seconds maybe. You see, this is not what you want to see. You can still see the beeswax beads in there, so you don't want to see that. So let's put it back in for a few seconds. Again, you want to do it at medium heat. And you're doing it just a few seconds at a time now, because again, you don't want to overheat your oil. Because after it's all the beeswax is incorporated into the olive oil, we're going to have to wait for it to cool back down. Alright, you can see some of the beeswax beads is folded to the top, which is a good indication that this is starting to lighten up and dissolve. But I'm not sure if we're all there yet, so let me just mix it a little bit to see if I can... Oh look, okay, as I mix you can see the solution is getting a lot clearer. You know, sometimes it just needs a good mix to get everything in, and here we go. We have a good clear solution now. So the beeswax have completely dissolved into the olive oil, and that took about 1:30 at power 5. So now I'm putting my thermometer in here to see what temperature we're at. I think it'll be at around 140, 145 Fahrenheit. So creeping up here. Oops. So you don't have to have a thermometer to make this, but for those of you who do, certainly helps a little. Good, we're at 142. So I want to cool this to about, you know, definitely under 130. I'm thinking 127 or so, 125. And if you don't have a thermometer, the way I'll see, we went up to might be because I'm mixing it here and it's touching the glass, but it went up to 147. So we're going to cool this to about 127, 125, and we'll know that we've gotten that temperature if you don't have a thermometer, because the mixture will start to get cloudy. So that'll take a good 15 to 20 minutes, depending on, of course, the temperature of your house. It could take you 10 minutes if you have a really cold house. So we will get back here when it starts to get cloudy. And the temperature is about 125. Okay, so you can see now the mixture is becoming cloudy, and we're about 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is actually a really good temperature for mixing. And I'm just going to zap my water mixture real fast in the microwave because it doesn't take that long for it to heat up, and I'm thinking, I think I said 20 seconds. At high is fine because we're just going to heat that up to about 115 to 100, probably 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're heating the water mixture up too, because we want the oil layer, oil mixture, and the water mixture to be about the same temperature. And you need that for the emulsion to form. So I haven't said it yet, but remember, lotion is an emulsion of water and oil. So we heated this up, so let's just check the temperature. So it's about 115, 116 degrees Fahrenheit, which is perfect. So the water is a little cooler than the oil mixture, which is fine, because once we start mixing them, they will eventually equilibrate to the same temperature and the lotion will form. So I've put the water mixture, which is, remember, the lavender hydrosol and the distilled water, into my food processor. So they said you can use any mixing unit with you can take the top off, or you can use a handheld mixing unit. I missed this part. Oops, there we go. Okay. Or you can use a handheld mixing unit. just gonna give this a quick, and as you can see, some of the on the sides, the oil is firming up, but that's okay. We can eventually scrape all that in, no problem. I'm gonna slowly drizzle my oil layer in. It's gonna take a few minutes for us to get this all in. Pretty slow. Keep a steady hand. And as I said, even as we're pouring, some of the oil is going to solidify because it's cooling down, and that's fine. You know, our lotion's forming, at least around the blades, because that's where most of the shear stress is. But we're still waiting for the oil layer and the water layer to be the same temperature before it completely forms. So that'll take a few minutes of mixing. So your emulsions are beautiful things, you know. Mayonnaise is an emulsion. Most salad dressings are emulsions. So we have emulsion is, you know, bringing together a water layer and an oil layer, and here we use the beeswax as a stabilizer. Because oil and water usually don't like to stay together. So beeswax is a natural emulsifying agent. Most lotions use synthetic emulsifying agents. So I think we're taking about 2-3 minutes to pour this all in. Some of the oil already solidified on me here. Fine. Still pretty warm, so you might just try to get that in there best you can. All in there. Get this in there. So again, we have half a cup of oil mixture, half a cup of water mixture. So we want to keep a 1-to-1 ratio. So you want to get as much of that in there as you can. So each oil droplet has a water droplet to hold hands with. I'm going to stop it now to see where we are. Then you can stop it, start back. Ooh, see? Our lotion is forming. I'm going to scrape the sides a little bit so we get, I want to scrape the sides of the top here. One, it helps with cleaning, and two, it just gets all my oil in there because the lotion right now is still warm, and it will, when I put the mixer back on, it'll suck up all this and incorporate it into the, just scraping the sides. You can see some water layer still loose, oil layer still loose. See that big water droplet floating around there. That's fine. Just keep on mixing and it'll all go in. Put it back on here. this is a really robust formula. You know, if you have the temperatures around, you know, where they should be, between, I'd say 110 and 125 degrees Fahrenheit, both layers. You do it slow, you can just keep on mixing. You mix up to 10-15 minutes if you have to. I don't think you need that long. You're following the instruction a good, you know, under 10 minutes is usually fine. And you know what, even if at the end of the lotion you still have some maybe water droplets hanging around or some oil clumps, it's all fine. You can still rub that on your skin. You know, like about this lotion is when you do apply it, it's almost like the emulsion breaks in your skin and you see the water layer and the oil layer sort of separate on your skin. That actually feels really good because the water droplets sort of soothing and cool, and the oil layers absorb nicely into your skin. Alright, let's look at it again. It looks even better now. Look, everything is sort of in there. We don't see much water hanging around. Clean it up a little bit. It's looking beautiful and rich and still a little warm, but you can touch it. I'm just going to give it one more little, just to get that last bit in there. A few seconds. And then we're done, I think. Alright. And we're done. So I'll take a little bit to show you. It's beautiful. It's a lotion. You put it in your skin. You know, if you try it now, it's actually nice and warm. And as it cools, it will firm up. So it's actually a really it's a luxurious lotion. And it feels heavy upon application, but if you give it a few seconds, as the water sort of breaks up and the oil absorbs into the skin and cools that, it's actually pretty light and it leaves a nice glow. And I actually suggest using this at night before you go to sleep, right after you take a shower. Probably not in the morning, only because it does give a glow. I'm not sure you want that necessarily in the morning after you're going to go to work. You can use this on your face too, if you don't have very oily face. Just a little bit goes a long way on a damp face. With your lotion, you can add a few drops of your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your lavender essential oil and give it a quick mix. So we always add the essential oil at the end because we don't really want to heat it because it will degrade. Mix. It's all incorporated. Smells some good lavender, a little bit of olive oil. See, it has this nice light green color because of the olive oil, which I think is actually nice and beautiful. So, and then you have your jars. And as I mentioned, it's good to put it into 2 4-ounce jars so you can store one in the refrigerator and you can have one for your everyday use. I'm going to clean off the blade here. So it's good to store it in the jar right after you make it because it's still warm and it's still flowing really nicely, because as it cools it's going to get firmer. It's going to be just a little bit trickier to get in the jars. Get all this good lotion in here. And then I'll also show you how you can clean up quite easily. Let me put this down on a paper towel. Be careful with your blades. Beautiful lotion. I'll put some in here. You know, so I've never seen mold grow in this lotion, and I've had it at room temperature for about 2 months. I've seen a little bit of separation where you might see some oil layer or water layer, and that's completely fine. It's still effective. What you don't want to see is fuzzy mold growth, but again, I've never seen it. I've seen it in other lotions, but not in this one, because of, as I mentioned, olive oil and lavender hydrosol are both antifungal and antibacterial in nature inherently, so it really deters any growth. But, you know, still want to use clean hands. Maybe a spoon when you're applying. Okay. You know, when you're happy with how much, you know, the more you get out there, the less you have to clean up, so get as much as you can in there. A nice spatula will help. And design your label and slap it on there, and you want to put the expiration date for the one you put in the fridge to be 3 months after the day you've made it, and the one that you have lying around for about 2 months, 2 weeks. But again, that's just being conservative. So what I like to do to clean up is, first thing you want to do is just get a paper towel or a towel. Just wipe down everything. Careful with your blade, or next thing you know, you just want to get most of the product out. That's good. Even with the, so you want to get most of it out. It'll just help clean up. And then you just run this under hot soapy water. Then you can do a quick hand wash if you want. Or you can just pop it in the dishwasher. But you don't want to put the equipment with too much product in there, or it'll just cake up and really won't come off. You want to wipe as much as you can off. Well, not as much as you can off, but a good amount off. And then soapy hot water. And what's awesome is if you have someone here, you just rub it in.